In an effort to pull itself out of an ongoing oil crisis, Alberta is finalizing a deal to purchase rail cars to move crude from the oil sands. And Premier Rachel Notley wants Ottawa to chip in. The cars would be able to move 120,000 barrels of crude per day. The government says this is going to cost $350 million to add the extra rail capacity and $2.6 billion over the next 3 years just to operate it. Joining us this morning is Jeff Rubin. He's an economist and senior fellow with the Centre for International Governance Innovation. Good to have you with us this morning.
My pleasure.
So they need to be able to move the oil. We know that since the start of September, Western Canadian Select has fallen from nearly $40 a barrel to less than 12. We're sitting at 11 something right now. The Alberta government painting this as an oil crisis. It's a transportation issue, they say. What's the real issue?
I can empathize with the Premier's attempt to help an industry in crisis, but I think it really misdiagnoses the problem. The collapse in oil prices, Western Canadian Select, hasn't been because of any pipeline closures. It's been because of refinery closures. Over 800,000 barrels a day of refinery capacity in the U.S. has been closed for seasonal maintenance. That's more than twice the normal amount. And what it really underscores is the problem of how little of the oil sands is actually processed in Canada. Less than a third is even upgraded into oil, so that when you do have refinery closures in the U.S., it has a huge dramatic impact on prices.
Yeah, Canada home to 14 operational oil refineries. Meantime, the U.S. is over 135, I think.
This is like the least processed oil in the world, and you know, dependence on U.S. refineries comes back to bite you when all of a sudden those refineries shut down and you don't have domestic capacity to make up the slack.
So basically we have a lot of crude and nobody to send it to.
Yeah, like the model has been to ship the raw bitumen to the U.S. to refine, and then ironically to import much of that back as diesel and gasoline at twice the price. So, you know, I don't really think, like, the problem has not been a pipeline has been closed, refineries have been closed, and there isn't really any domestic refinery capacity to make up the slack.
Rachel Notley in a tough position. She's heading into an election year. The province is struggling. She needs to be seen as doing something. Could this help a bit?
I get all that. What's going to help is some of this refinery capacity in the U.S. that has been sidelined is going to come back on. And that's going to help because then they'll be able to process it. But, you know, it still is a heavily discounted product at the best of times. And it's an industry that keeps on producing more when market prices are saying produce less.
Ottawa says they're not going to pay for these cars, that it's not worth the massive investment. And by the time everything kicks into gear, oil prices may have fixed.
As I say, there's refinery capacity will at least partially come back. So I certainly understand their reluctance.
Can the province afford to do nothing? So that's the question.
Well, as again, I empathize with her, but I think the real problem here is a lack of domestic refinery capacity. And in fact, the companies that do have domestic refinery capacity, like Suncor and Imperial Oil, have weathered the storm a lot better because what they lose from the low oil prices upstream, they make up downstream through huge refinery margins.
Jeff, good to have you here on this morning.
My pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.